Was staying on developments around the fuel subsidy removal, which has now led to an increase in pump price. But let's speak now with the national president, Petroleum Products Retail Outlets Owners Association of Nigeria, Dr. Billy Gillis-Harry. He joins us live from our Abuja studio. Good to have you join us.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having us here.
All right, so let me start by getting the stand of Petroan on the fuel subsidy removal. What's your members' response, and what's your stand on fuel subsidy removal?
Well, fuel subsidy removal for us in Petroan is the right decision to make. It's a hard decision, but we support the removal of the fuel subsidy. And we support it for so much good for the Nigerian economy and the people of Nigeria. We have some ideas that we had projected and given to the authorities while the discussions of the subsidy removal was made. It is a decision that must be made, that should be made, and has been made even before the new president has resumed. But we are very happy that he can have the political goodwill to insist on the removal of subsidy. So we are in support of that. But we want the subsidy to be approached in ways that will be very, very smooth, easy, and not too hard on the Nigerian public.
But Nigerians were thrown into confusion just almost immediately after that speech, inaugural speech by the president, where he said that fuel subsidy is gone. And then we started to see queues, really long queues in filling stations. Some filling stations were not even selling. Those that were selling had increased the pump price on their own accord. Just a few of them were still selling at 185. I just want to ask you what necessitated that response from the filling station and marketers.
Well, first of all, I really am very surprised to hear that maybe you are talking about sale of fuel PMS in Lagos at 185 from the NNPC retail outlets. That's a completely different price regime from other, retail outlets. For instance, if our members assess product at that particular time, we will not be selling at 185. We'll probably be selling between 195 to 250 or thereabout. And that is because of the cost implications of landing the product in the retail outlet. And of course, taking into consideration all the factors that are required to make deliveries efficient and timely. So there is no time that Petroan members, except the NNPC, because some of NNPC retail outlets are also part of Petroan. Those are the only ones that can sell. So I don't know where that price focus came. I've been in some other interviews this morning where I've been presented a 185, 184, 185 bandwidth. And that, I don't think, was correct. Because in the last few months, fuel is being bought from different zones at different prices. The Lagos price is different from the price in Port Harcourt, different from the price in Maiduguri. So that is what happened. So having answered that, I'm going to also answer your question as to why the sudden price change in the next day. Well, the reality is that this is business, and business that requires investment. You put in money, you expect to make some profit, and then you put it back. Unless you are telling us that we should just buy the product and sell it as a loss, in which case we cannot restock. And once we cannot restock, then the situation will become much more difficult. So yes, we know that the decisions that have been taken is a hard decision. We support it, but we also advise, that the president should have a stakeholder meeting with all of us that are critical in the sector. Petroan is the most critical last mile in the value chain because we are the ones that interact with the drivers, with farm hands, with market women, with even the president's team, because they have to buy fuel from our retail outlets. And they may not buy this all the time from NNPC retail outlets. So we have more number of retail outlets in the country. And so it's very important to hear our voice, hear what Morman has to say, hear what Dapman has to say, hear what Ipman has to say, and even hear what NLC has to say. So we can have a very effective plan as to what should be done to make sure that subsidy is removed, because it makes common sense that we shouldn't be spending 7 trillion naira and above every year to invest in just only one item, petrol. What about food? What about health? What about our education? What about our sciences?
Dr. Harris, if I may quickly just come in here, because I'm trying to manage time. You said earlier that your members were not, selling at the 185, 195. The prices vary, but that means that this new price that NNPC has put out, it's not, your members cannot also sell at that price. In Lagos, for example, it's 488. In some other places, it's above 500. It means that your members, that is not binding on some of your members.
Well, there is a price template that works out the profit margin for every transaction in this industry, and it's very transparent. I'm sure you must have heard, what we as an association is doing. We have invested in developing a technology to track our data called the 3P, Petroleum Product Passport, and also the petroleum product, the 3P seal, which will also guarantee that smuggling and other things are not going to be in vogue within this deregulation period. Now, if we buy product from NNPC, don't forget we are not importing. NNPC is our senior partner. So whatever they give to us at the depots as their sales price is what we will take. And then we work out additional expenses that we make and make a very regular, reasonable profit on top of that to guarantee us going back to restock. So if NNPC is selling to us at a certain price, we are not going to buy and sell at the same price with them. That's the reality.
All right, so you have asked that the president meets with your members you have asked for a robust stakeholders meeting. We'll see how that plays out. Thank you so much for talking to us. The National President, Petroleum Product Retail Outlets Owners Association of Nigeria, Dr. Billy Gillis-Harry.